All right. You can hear the injectors going. Okay, I got a lot of work done. I'm happy with this. I spent a few hours working on the wiring and working on the harness for the coils and the injectors, and I think I got it pretty good. And I want to stop because I need to do some splicing of some wires, and it's not that I don't trust myself. I just want to think about it before I just rush into it, because we have 4 injectors, so that's 4 power wires, and then I grabbed the harness from the truck, so we have a 5th power wire. We have 5 power wires we need to combine into one wire on this bank, and then we have 5 more power wires we need to combine into one wire, and then all 10 of those wires need to be powered pretty much off of one wire, you know. So I'm just trying to think of the best way to combine all of those wires into one, you know, 16 gauge or something like that. Or maybe I would do a 16, yeah, that's what I probably should do, a 16 gauge for the injectors and then a 16 gauge for the coils. But you kind of see what I've done here. I'm gonna need to make or buy, if anybody knows, where can you get longer, or where can you get custom LS plug wires? I need 45-degree spark plug boots with maybe 6 inches added to the wire length. I guess I can make them, but if anybody makes them, I'd pay to have them. You know, that's I'd pay for that. So, but yeah, here we're almost there. You see, here's a fuel injector harness, and then here's the coil harness, and same thing on this side. This side I did first, so I got a little farther, but you kind of see what I'm trying to do. I twisted those together and twisted these together, and like all of these 5 red wires need to get joined together, and then same thing over here. So it's just a lot of power going up here. And then the only other 2 sensors I have to add is the coolant temp, which is the 2 wire just for the resistor, and then the idle air control valve, which idle air control valve, and then maybe even the crankshaft. Maybe we could take the idle air control valve and the crankshaft position sensor and go down. So maybe I would just, when I'm making this harness, maybe I'll just make the harness with just, you know, maybe 3 feet here for that, something like that. But yeah, we're almost there. I'm kind of on hold now because I want to get some different crimping tools. Yeah, so it's the next day, and I got a lot more work done. It kind of looks like a rat's nest, but that's because we're still building the harness. But you can see, I can kind of run through it for you. This bundle, don't worry about yet. But you see, I've got these 2 wires are going to go to the coolant temp sensor. I've got 4 connectors for the fuel injectors, and then I have a separate harness for the coil pack. So this is the coil pack off the truck, and I grabbed the harness side connector. So all I had to do was, well, maybe on this side I can show you. You can see I've just kind of soldered it into the harness that I'm making. And I've got the same thing, 4 injectors, and then here's your coils. So here's your injectors and coils for the driver's side, and then here's the injectors for the passenger side, and then here's the coils for the passenger side. And then here's the ECU. So I've just made all of my temporary connections here, but and then I just have a 10 amp inline fuse for when we do testing. But you can see I've got the ground from the battery. I've just grounded one of the cylinder heads so the spark plugs will fire. But basically, I have almost everything the way I want it. This crank sensor is gonna mount, because here's the front of the engine, right? So it's gonna mount somewhere's down. So I'm gonna wait to wire that up, I think. But first I need to get a twisted pair of shielded wire like this is. See the shield. So I need to go with some wire with shielding for that sensor. This little bundle, these two green wires are for the intake air temperature. These two wires are for the idle air control valve. You see I've got the connector on it. That's the idle air control. And then these three wires are for the throttle position sensor. So that should really be everything. The only thing that I still need to wire up would be the fuel pump. But we don't have a fuel pump right now. But I just wanted to get it. I just wanted to kind of prove my theory and get it to work. So why don't I show you what I've got here? This is called Tuner Studio, and I've kind of built a base tune. And this program here is called Arduino or something like that, Druid, and you can simulate the output of this sensor with a 36-1 trigger wheel, right? So here's the trigger wheel right here, and you can see here's one, because it's missing the tooth there, but there's 35 teeth. And what this little Arduino is doing is simulating the output of this sensor, right? The sensor rides over this, and then here's the connector for it. And that would go onto this end of the harness. But because this has a big balance weight on it, it shakes around. I tried spinning it with a drill and prove that the sensor does work, but it's hard to. It just keeps wobbling because of that big weight. See, here it is. It's a big weight on the balancer. But anyway, what I can do is I can choose whatever RPM I want. So if I say I want to, let's just do idle speed, 700 RPM. You see that my engine now thinks it's 700 RPM. Or let's just do 2000 RPM. You can say set 2000. And then you see my car thinks it's going 2000 RPM. So just to do a little demonstration for you, I'm going to set the RPM to 60 RPM, which is very slow. But it thinks that it's at 60 RPM. So that's 1 rev a second, which means that all 4 channels are going to be firing. That would be 4 times in a second. That's how that should work. So I'm gonna hook power up to our little fuse here, 3, 2, 1. You hear the. Let me turn the light off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you see these. Maybe I'll turn this light off too. You can see the LEDs down, and there's some wires in the way. But 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'll show you. We're gonna go under the heads. There, so now you can kind of see, them firing. So cylinder 1 is right here, so there's the spark plug. And you can see there's cylinder 2, 3, and 4, and then 5 through 8 are on that side, the right side. So according to our sheet, it's going to, the firing order is 1, 3, 7, 2, but so that's going to be, you do see cylinder 1 fire, and then 3 is the third one down on the left side, and then it goes 4, cylinder 4, which was channel 3, and then cylinder 2. Right. So this is how it should be going. And it's hard for you to see, but it is doing it. Here's cylinder 1. So you can see I've kind of labeled it channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. So it's going to go this cylinder, this cylinder, this cylinder, this cylinder. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So it's just doing that over and over again, and then its pair is also firing. So let me put you back in there. All right, so that's 60 RPM. So let's do like we're gonna crank at like 200 RPM. So ready, set RPM at 250 cranking. So this is the starter going, and then it's gonna fire at 700 RPM. Here we go. Now it's running at 700 RPM. So that would be about idle speed. I don't know if turning the lights off will help you see that. Yeah, it doesn't really help. And I guess it's better with the lights on. All right, so that's idle speed. Now I'll do like 1500 RPM. Here's 1500. Go. Now I'm going to go to, let's do 3000. 3000 RPM. Go. So this is holding steady at 3000 RPM. I mean, my fuel injectors are probably, these are junk injectors I got from the Ford Explorer. They're probably all right still, but I don't really care if they break, but they're definitely going. I think that's what you're hearing. But yeah, you can see, maybe, can you see in there? Would that be better? Yeah, you can see all 4 spark plugs on the driver's side. It looks really neat in real life. I don't know why it's not showing on camera. There you go. There's all 4 of them on the passenger side bank. I think it's because the spark plugs are facing different directions. Trying to show you all 4. They're all going, but it's not showing up on the camera. So now let's just run it to 5,000, just for a second. Oh, that was 500. 5,000. We'll go 5,000. Woo! So it thinks, yeah, we're running that red line. There's 5,000. That's kind of fast. So let's go back down to. to 2000. What do you mean unknown? Well, let's power down here. This wire's getting warm. Ooh, this wire's getting warm. That's a lot of current. Something's getting warm for sure. Yeah, but anyway, that's kind of how it works. And let me just keep tinkering here. But I think we have a successful little 302 little top end here. So I've just unplugged the injectors just so they don't get. I don't think you're supposed to run them hard without fuel in there because the fuel cools them down. But now all you're hearing is the coils firing. So this is how fast. I think this is 200 RPM. Yeah, this is like cranking speed, 200 RPM. All right, I'm going to do this for real. So we're going to hook up to my 8 amp fuse. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say wheel options. It's a wheel 6, which is a. Then we're going to go to back to top. Set fixed RPM of 50. So it's at 50 RPM, so I'm going to set a sweep 500 RPM to 4,500 RPM at 250 RPMs per second. Let's go. And then we're going to turn the key off, and it turns it off. Got my throttle body hooked up. All right, so in this video, I just kind of wanted to cover quickly how to convert an older style fuel rail to a newer style fuel rail for a modular Ford motor. So this is a 4.6 liter 2-valve intake manifold. This actually came off of a 2010 Crown Vic, but this should work for basically any Ford modular motor. I'm thinking like a 5.4 or a 4.6, but anyway, what I'm doing is I am, that probably would apply to a Mustang as well if you've got a 4.6 Mustang 2-valve. But what I'm doing is I'm making my own fuel injection system basically for the motor, and my fuel injection computer is of the older style. It's I don't want to say it, well, I guess because it's a cheaper one. I guess it's because it's a home-built ECU. It doesn't have the capability to run a fuel pump. All it can do is turn a fuel pump on or off. It can't control a fuel pump's, I'll say, output operation. So basically, what I wanted to cover is how to convert a newer style intake manifold, which has this type of a fuel rail, to which has a single supply, only one fuel line, just a supply line, to the older style, which has a supply and a return line.